Welcome to the Happy Basins Jungle Room. Today I am going to show you guys, first we're going to run through and just look at each one of the animals real quickly, but my main focus for today is to show you our technology and talk about how we built this jungle room, tell you things that we definitely will do again for our next jungle room, which is well on its way, yay, and also things that we would definitely do different. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to take you around to meet each of our emeralds that we have in here, which we have 8, 9, 10, 11 emeralds in here. So this here is Mommy Wada. She's a little over 9 years old, and she came to us as a rescue from a hurricane. She was part of a family that had a hurricane victim. We're hurricane victims from Florida, and she's very small for her age. This is Draca, and Draca is a wild-caught northern emerald who we rehabilitated for about 6 months before we decided to add Draca to our Happy Basins Jungle Room. She is just a magnificent animal. This is Cassius Clay. He is the father of Peo, our baby, who you're going to see shortly, as well as the father of our upcoming babies with Jormungandr. So let's keep going here. This is Azmois, and Azzy is, and I should have been saying, Cassius Clay is, I think Cash is about 4 years old now, and we don't know how old the wild-caught is. And then this is Azmois. Azmois was our very first emerald, and he is going on 6 years old this year. And he has just done fantastic. He was just a little red neonate when we got him. And if you don't know about red neonates, you will, because I'm going to get to our little red neonate here shortly. This is Zaltis. Zaltis is going on 8 years old this year. And he is one of our, would you say that he's the absolute best ambassador we have? Yes. He actually enjoys being an ambassador. It's perfectly clear from his demeanor. So this is Inky, and Inky is a brand new addition to our jungle room, and Inky is actually Zaltis's litter mate, but we just got Inky at 7.5 years old. He was a holdback of Steve Volk, and Volk decided that he needed space for his new upcoming holdbacks and passed Inky on to us. Lucky, lucky us. This is Ningishzida up here, and she is I think she's 6 years old now. So she's a nice, mature female. And Inky is a known breeder for any of you guys out there that were trying to get one of Volk's up-and-coming animals, his new litters for this season. Inky was called Charles, and he is the father of some of those babies. He's a real honor to have him. This is Bella. Can you come around this side and get Bella's little face? And Bella is a male, and he is about 4 years old, same age as Cassius Clay. And he's also a very good breeder, although we have not let him breed yet. Because Cassius Clay is so beautiful, it's hard just not to use him. All right, so for those of you who do not know Peo, this is Peo, our one little baby that we have. And Peo is going on 7 months old, and he's just got a little bit of green showing around his eyes and a little bit more on his belly, which you can't see right now. And then Bella's mother is, move this little stool here. Bella's mother is right in here, and this is Isis. Isis is our most famous and beloved animal, and she is Zaltis and Inky's litter mate. So she is going on 8 years old as well. All right, so you guys have got to look at our downstairs animals. We do have a beautiful, majestic looking northern upstairs in quarantine, which we'll be bringing down hopefully in the next 3 months or so. He's been up there now, I think 3 weeks. So we'll wait for a really healthy shed and a couple of meals fully digested before Freya can join the jungle room. So let's go ahead and start looking at the build of this room. First, I would like to say, you see all of these plants, and these plants are not here just for aesthetic purposes. Even though they sure are a big plus, they're here for humidity purposes. These guys really keep the humidity up in this room. Our downstairs, which this is our downstairs, is on its own thermostat. So we're able to keep it real nice and warm down here. And like I said, thanks to the plants, it's easy to keep the humidity up. We call this over here our west wall. And then right behind me over here is our north wall. And these are custom enclosures that we had built. They are made out of red oak. They're completely sealed with, what is it, love? Shellac. And what brand of shellac do we use? Zinsser. Bullseye Zinsser shellac. And you can Google it and find a shellac that's safe for the animals. A lot of people don't know shellac is a natural occurring, is everything okay? Okay, a natural occurring element and is safe once it's dried for reptiles. And again, you can Google all of that information, which I have already done, and that's why we used it. And the wood is, we have a lot of problems with all of this wood, and that's one of the things we definitely would do differently. Well, we are doing different in our second jungle room that's being created right now, is that we are ordering pre-made enclosures. We're using Temura Designs. I researched all of the enclosures and found for me that Temura Designs gave me the most of what I need. I love their pre-printed PVC backgrounds. These backgrounds here, what we did is we took some really inexpensive paper-like photo backgrounds that you can buy online, you know, to take photographs with, and then we cut it to the right size and epoxied over it. What we don't like about this is the shine that comes back. My infrared cameras leave a huge white thing at nighttime on that background, as well as any light reflects from it, taking away from good pictures and videos. So that's one of the things we are definitely excited about Temura, is that they have the printed PVC backgrounds. Another thing, like I was saying about the wood, even though this wood is sealed with shellac, we put all of the wood in here. We closed, we put the glass in, we put the animals in, and really what should have been done is this wood should have been allowed to sit for, I'm going to say, a whole year to completely settle, get into the right place, and then make adjustments on things and then shellac it. But of course, when you do a build like this, you're just excited to get your animals inside, and that's what happened to us. So we are dealing with all kinds of things on our doors. Larry's had to take them apart, sand them up and put them back together. So that's one of the things definitely that could be better. Also, our doors here, we did get these really great mechanisms for sliding doors. These are for like showcase doors. And I'm always vacuuming out and taking a towel and wiping in there, which isn't bad, but some of these where we use water more is getting kind of rusty. So that wasn't a good idea. And another thing that we have in here, before I get to the actual technology, I'm just going to kind of show you an enclosure. If you look at the bottom here, we have RV shower pans, and we put these in each enclosure. And I'm going to show you here shortly over on the north wall how that drains. I'm going to show you all of the plumbing that's down below and the electric that's above. But for now, I'm just going to kind of talk about the enclosures here. Also, these are all tempered glass. What is this? 1/4 inch tempered glass. And then this here is 1/2 inch plexiglass as separators. And I did design these so that these separators could come out if I wanted to just turn it into one huge enclosure or, 2 bigger ones. I can do, it's kind of modular because these can actually slide out with a little effort. We did end up putting some caulk, but that could easily be taken out. And then in this enclosure, what else do we have here? I'm going to show the soaker hose vines. I'll get to that over there. Right now, I just want to kind of talk about the wood build. And mostly the wood separation, the rust and grime inside of the doors that I have to constantly keep up on. And I think that's about it for the enclosures. I'm going to do each technology piece on the north wall where I have more space. So I think, can you think of anything else, love, about the actual building? It took us 2 years because, oh darn, I should have brought the little popsicle stick model. I saw it upstairs in the closet. When I first designed this setup, I did it with popsicle sticks. Let's go ahead and move me over here. I did it with popsicle sticks, and then it was pretty cool. So then I went to Home Depot or Lowe's, and I got some little, you know, formatted sticks so that I could build it to scale. And I did. I built all of this to scale. But, you know, that's just a theory, you know, getting started, a model. And as we were building, we found that many of my ideas needed a lot of extra work. So there was a lot of engineering, a lot of building, a lot of creating something and then having to recreate it and making different decisions as we were building. And that's another reason why our second jungle room will be our enclosures. We're going to save a lot of money and a lot of time by ordering our enclosures from Temura instead of trying to do all of this ourselves again. It was quite a feat. All right, let's go ahead and use this. We'll use Bella's enclosure here to show you the technology. I'm going to start right away by opening my Fluval app here. So if you can see this, I'm opening my Fluval, and my Fluval is the light system I use. And this particular Bella's enclosure is North 3. And I am going to turn his lights down so that we can get a better view. Hold on, I know I don't have my Bluetooth open. So that is, I'll talk about that while I'm actually doing this, is I love Fluval. They're fantastic for my plants. It's done so much great stuff. Here I have this on auto. If you can see, my settings on the Fluval are 60% red and blue, and then 30% for the whites. I see I have my soft white on 40%. And I can actually click that and show you. And I'll tell you why in a minute, why I did that. But let me just get this turned down first. Is that low enough? Does the film look good up there on the light, love? Okay. Yes. Okay. So the Fluval has all kinds of great settings. And this is the Fluval light that you see right up here. And it does give everything that the plants need. These animals are said to not need any light, like the tortoises and the iguana that I have upstairs have to have their UVA and UVB. But in this case, I have the lights strictly for the plants. And these plants love the Fluvals. I struggle with Fluval. They do not have a feature that I can connect to these lights when I'm not on Bluetooth. So like, for example, the other day, I had Jormungandr, who's in here. We'll talk about Jormungandr in a minute, because that's where we're going to talk about the rain shower. But we left one of the lights on and we went to dinner, and I had no way to turn that light off until I got home. And another thing is, I have, I think, like 24 Fluval lights in this house. They're above these plants over here on the ceiling. They're upstairs for plants for the other animals, as well as in every single enclosure we have. Our quarantine enclosures, our king snakes, our tortoises, everything but the hamsters. So these lights are just great, but why I'm naming all the different ones I have is because every time the time changes, or you know, it's a different time of year and the sun sets later or earlier and I want to change my lights, I have to manually go through and change every single one of those lights. So it'd be great if Fluval had a system, you know, where I can group my lights and do something like that. We have tried to put it on our smart house on our Amazon, but we have not had luck with that with the Fluvals. All right, so let's move on. Oh, I have to tell you another thing about the Fluvals is that I showed you my settings where I have 60% red and blue, and then my whites are turned down low. When I first put these Fluvals in here, it was probably 3 months or so I had them, and I had everything on high, you know, the more the better. And it was great for the plants. The plants were actually growing roots into the soaker hose vines, and the roots were actually sticking to the sides of the enclosures. It was fabulous for the plants. But then I got a couple of sheds back, and my sheds were not like they always are. Look, let me just show off my sheds. And I know it's silly to keep all these. I know a lot of keepers can't help it, but there it is. And initially, I was keeping these sheds and measuring the animals and writing their names and dates on them. And then I quit doing that. And then I was keeping them for visitors. But clearly, I've had a lot more sheds than I've had visitors who like to take those home. So when I had the fluvels on high, the sheds were not coming out properly. And I knew right away what it was because I had always had good sheds, and now all of a sudden the only thing I changed were those lights, and the sheds were incomplete. So, or partial, you know, like not in one big piece. So I went online and I looked at the light spectrum in the interior of the jungle and in the canopy. And, you know, of course, after I read it, I thought, duh, but the spectrum coming through was mostly blue and red. So the plants are still enjoying the fluval, just not growing roots into the soaker hose vines anymore, but I'm having my sheds are back to normal. So that was only a couple animals that showed me that. So that's the deal with the fluvels. And then another thing that we have in here is we can look at our Pro Products Pro Heat panel. And these are the panels that we use in all of our enclosures. We just ordered some more, and we also just ordered a whole, we have some baby condos coming from Tamura, a 12 condo setup, and each of those will have a Pro Heat panel. And we do have, an important thing that I tell people, because sometimes you have an opportunity to get an animal, but you don't have the setup yet, everything just the way you want it. So it's always good to have backup enclosures ready if you're one of those people. And then also we went just to the feed store and bought a bunch of like baby chicken heat panels. And we have 3 of those. We keep them in storage, and we've used them multiple times over the years as a backup when we need something right away. So that's a good idea to have as well. And if anything were to ever go wrong with the heat panel, which we've never had anything go wrong with any of our Pro Products heat panels. All right, and then you can see on the back left there, that is a vent. It's a 3-inch vent that we use for the animals air exchange. I was just thinking about where we put that vent on the baby enclosures, and I was thinking, how is that going to work? But on our baby enclosures, we have it on the back wall right here. And I'm going to actually talk about that in a second when I show you Peyo's setup over there. So these vents pull, they're a negative airflow. They pull air out of the enclosure. And because these enclosures aren't like fully like sealed up, that negative airflow is pulling air from anywhere that it can get it. So it puts a nice breeze through the enclosure and takes fresh air inside, and then just creates an airflow from all different places instead of like just one fan blowing positive air in all the time. So we really like the negative airflow. We like our vents to be up high so that it's pulling the air out. Now, we also use, which you can see right here, look at Bella, he's coming out more and more to be able to see what's going on here. This is a Pro Mist Mister nozzle. And we use the Pro Mist misters. We also do mix it up a little with some, oh, maybe that's why that door was so dirty, huh? Because the misters are down. Does this one go up too? We'll do it later. The Pro Mist mister system is excellent. It's what we've used for years. We have also integrated another misting system that Larry's kind of put together off Amazon. And when I made this video before, I did a live video with terrible audio, so I'm remaking it. And I had 2 people ask, what is the new misting system from Amazon? I don't have that information. I actually forgot to write that down. So maybe I can answer in a comment, or maybe Larry will remember as we're moving along here. So the mister system is fantastic. Either way you go, we really enjoy them. Although Larry did find some nozzles, which I did see are on the ProMist website now, but the ones he's using from Amazon can move around. Oh, we have those in ISIS? Okay, we'll look at those here in a minute. So we're also going to show you all of the technology up here. First, I'm just going to kind of finish going over what's in here. So the ProMist and then the ProHeat, the fan, which the fan uses a computer fan. What's it called, love?
CPU cooling fan.
CPU cooling fan is what pulls the air out of there. And we have one for each enclosure?
That's correct.
So each one of these has its own fan pulling air through. So it's a nice, good, strong airflow. It's not shared throughout all of these.
20 minutes twice a day.
20 minutes twice a day. And he does that at sunrise and sunset. Because when I'm in the jungle working with these animals in the wild, it's always a nice cool breeze in the morning and a nice cool breeze in the evening. So we try our best to set everything, you know, to be what I've experienced out there in my 11 trips to the Amazon rainforest, to work in their environment and to meet these guys, interact with them in the wild and learn about them. Another thing we didn't say is the mister. Our mister goes off 4 times a day. Is that correct? For 16 seconds?
20 down here.
So it depends on the enclosures. We have some other enclosures. We have the timer set differently. They're smaller. These are large enclosures. So these go off 4 times a day for 20 minutes. I'm sorry, that would be outrageous. 20 seconds, 4 times a day for these misters. And they are mostly to just keep the enclosure humid, but you will often find, which we'll see when we look at Peo, these animals seek out where that sprayer is spraying and they will lay in a spot where it sprays. And sometimes they do sleep in different places, but if I see one sleeping in a different spot for multiple days, I can usually go look and find that they've moved their mister and now it's spraying in a different place. So they really do enjoy that mist. Another thing that we have designed into these enclosures is a rain system. And you can see here, this is where the rain comes out. The rain is all filtered, heated water. The misters are just room temperature filtered water. But the rain comes from a different source, which we're going to show you. And we built all of these enclosures. That was the big dream, was to have rain chambers actually built into the enclosures. But we have, even though we've show them these little flaps here. What are these called?
Drip strips.
Drip strips. We put these drip strips here, but we still find that we get leaks, which I'm also going to show you. So we still take our animals into the rain chamber. If you don't know, all of our animals are potty trained. Well, we're actually the ones who are trained. And these animals eat every 3 to 5 weeks. And so every day before, either the day before or the day that we feed them, we put them all in the rain chamber. We do put, you know, multiples in there. We have some that don't want to come out and some that finish their business and come out. But when you put these animals in the 89 to 91 degree Fahrenheit rain, they almost instantly drop their tails. We just put a little, we have little tubs like this over in the rain chamber. And when they drop their tail, we just put this underneath, they poop in it, we throw it outside and rinse it out. So that's how our animals are potty trained. So we do not deal with, very rarely, a few times a year, we'll get somebody poops in these enclosures. So it's really nice having these guys the way they are. And I mean, I can look at Zaltus right now and see he needs to go into the rain chamber. I'm probably going to put him in there tonight just because how he looks. So sometimes you have to get an animal when you can tell that it's coming. And he is definitely, I noticed that when we looked at him earlier. All right, so mister system, 4 times a day for 20 seconds in this large enclosure. That does not mean we use that in all of our enclosures. I'm going to tell you in a second. Our fluval lights, heat panel, fan, rain system. All right, so let's get back to the rain system. I'm actually going to open Jormungandr's enclosure right now to show you. And we will, sorry, I know that's super loud with that microphone right on my collar. So I am going to get up here and show you Jormungandr. We're going to try to be as least intrusive as possible to her. She is at 152 or 53 days pregnant right now, which means she's ready to go any day. We're having huge thunderstorms this week. Today is 100% thunderstorms, flooding. If you guys are watching the news, you know I'm in Arkansas, and it's pretty bad here. So we decided to capitalize on the lowered barometric pressure and rain her today. So I'm going to take this off. Okay, she's not even, oh darn, she's down in her water. So she's being rained, but she had her face down in her water drinking. She has a small drip of rain coming out of her right now. And you can see we put her rain nozzle going all the way across instead of just the two on the end to maximize being able to just drip it real slow like that so that she doesn't get sprayed too much, and we can just leave it on for a long time. So show them what happened to this piece of wood right here. This piece of wood completely separated. It's kind of hard to see, but that is one of the big downfalls of this system. And even though we have the drip strips, we still have plastic in this enclosure back here, as well as you can see we're using a shower curtain because it does leak little bits. Just a tiny bit, but all the same. You can also see all this extra stuff that I put into Jormungandr's enclosure, and that's because her babies are going to come out alive, and they will instantly start wrapping around anything that they can find. It's so cute. I watched a lot of videos, and that's why I decided to do that. And then show them the little nozzle here that goes on and off for that, and that's how we turn the rain on and off, by that little nozzle. And this is just our little makeshift curtain that we put up. All right, why don't you go ahead while I'm putting the curtain up and show them the water system over here. This water system is run by photo developing equipment, and that's what you see right here. And that equipment is what keeps the water temperature consistent. So you can see right now we're looking at about 95 degrees. But the water actually hitting Jormungandr is about right at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And I did mean to actually use the temperature gun and show you guys. Let me just go back ahead and do that. I'm going to do that on Bella because he's so high up. So that'll really show a good basking temperature. Where did that temperature gun go? Here it is. All right, so I wanted to show you guys here Bella's body temperature at the hot point there is 86.7, and the actual heat panel itself, I logged it at 90 earlier. So right now it's only at 84, but earlier it was at 90, but that's because it goes on and off according to another piece of technology that I'm just about to show you guys. All right, back over here real quick. Sorry, I keep jumping the gun, but I just remember stuff as I'm going. Okay, so this is photo developing equipment to keep the water temperature regulated. And these are RV water filters that filter both the hot and the cold water. Our water system, I guess I'll just go ahead and show you guys behind this door here. The light's already on. I have all these cameras everywhere so that I can pay attention to Jormungandr. So look back here and you'll see our water system. We have the hot and cold water here going through the wall into the photo developing equipment I showed you. The pump up there is what is that called, love? That pump?
Pressure booster.
A pressure booster, because in order to push that water through all of these enclosures, initially we planned to be using all of the rain chambers at one time, so we needed that extra. But it turns out we needed even just for one to push it all the way through those pipes, which I'm still going to show you. This is one of the new loves of my life. We've had it for some years now, and it's fabulous. It's a hot water heater booster so that we can keep the hot water going for as long as we need to. Was there anything else under here I should show while I'm down here? No. Okay. All right, so that is our water system. And then this water system here this hose actually goes to our rain chamber as well. We hook it to the rain chamber as well as we can just use it for filling water bowls or whatever else. We can't use it for watering plants anymore because the plants need like a 6.5 or so pH. So I've been doing a lot of extra work keeping the plants at the right pH. All right, I think I've got everything. Let's move into Peyo here. So I'll show you guys, this is a PVC enclosure that Larry built. This is a 30-inch by, is it 18? A 24 square inch base, and then a 30-inch height. And these enclosures are made out of 1/2-inch PVC. This is what we built before we had all of this. This was our baby enclosure. And then Larry also built, which we have animals upstairs in quarantine, we have a 4-foot enclosure just like this, exactly like it. Now this, oh, I did forget to talk about a lot of stuff, but let's come back in here. So this, you can see, has the mister, it has the heat panel and the fluval light. It still has everything, but it's just a small little enclosure. And Peyo does lay in this spot purposefully because his sprayer literally, can you see this right here? Mm-hmm. This sprayer sprays right on him and he loves it. All right, now I am going to get to the rest of the technology. So let's come back over here. First, I'm going to show you guys the plumbing. All of our plumbing, I showed you where it goes under the house, and I'm going to show you how we did it down here. So these doors all just fit together and sit in here. And they also have a magnet. So once they're in place, it's a good, hold. And this, we have the towels under here because like I told you, it still leaks. It's such a tiny leak. You don't even notice it unless you leave and come back. And I actually need to move this more. That'll do for now because I want to show you guys. You want me to hold that camera to get way down here? The plumbing that's under here. Here, let me just go ahead and grab it. All right. This right here, this little nipple is what brings the water down through the drawer into this pipe. And we had to do it like that because we had to figure out how to make these drawers pull out, because it was very important to me that I'm able to pull these drawers out of here so that I can clean everything real good. So these all come out very easily. So we had to have this little nipple to be able to pull it in and out, because if it were permanently attached, of course, I wouldn't be able to pull those drawers out. Which is also another reason we didn't use a bigger drip strip, was because we had to be able to pull those out. So one of the things that we would do different is we would definitely redesign that bottom part. All right, so we got the plumbing, and then the pipes come out through there, and then they run the full length of this. Do you need any light down there? The full length of this, and then it comes back up here. I'll keep this flashlight in my hand. And comes through, and then in this corner right here, those front doors come off, just like what you just saw the other doors come off. And it goes through the wall. All of the plumbing for both the west and the north walls goes through into the back. And all of that drains into our gray water system. So now let's talk about a couple more pieces of technology. And the pieces of technology I'm going to show you are up here. Don't let me forget the sensor push, because I wanted to do that very last. I'll take this with me. All right, I am going to first take this off. All of these vines drive Larry completely nuts, and I'll talk about the vines too. Hopefully I don't forget. So these are up here with a French cleat. Cleat. Sorry. A French cleat. And that's what's holding these in place. And I'll show you what a French cleat is if you do not know, because I did not. And it is this little metal mechanism And then you can see here, they fit right into each other. And it's a really nice hold. We had a hard time finding something that would really put these flush up there. We couldn't have them open up or down or sideways because of all of our vines. So we had to have them lift off the way they do. All right, let's have a quick look at our technology. I'll get my pointer back. My pointer flashlight here. So this is a Vivarium Electronics. And the Vivarium Electronics, if you heard me say earlier how I checked the heat panel a few minutes ago and it was at 90 and now it's at 86 or whatever it was. But this heat panel has a probe, and that probe is actually inside of Jormungandr's body right now, not like in his body, but you can see he's wrapped around it. And this is the actual probe, this black thing. Here, can you get over here at all so that you can see? This is a probe right here, this black thing. And this senses how hot it is, gives the information to the Vivarium Electronic, which turns the heat panel on and off as necessary to regulate keep the heat at the regulated temperature. And then, what's that?
That's the timer for the misting.
All right, so this is our timer that we use to put our misting to go off 4 times a day for 20 seconds. In these large enclosures, that doesn't mean that's what everybody should have. So that is another piece of electricity. Now this, is there anything I can't see? I'm so short.
Right
Oh, I see, I can see through the phone. All right, and so this pump is what pumps the misting into the enclosures. And this is a Pro Mist pump, love?
that is actually one of my Amazon pumps.
Okay, so this is the new Amazon pump because he had to take his Pro Mist pumps to quarantine upstairs. And there is one of these in each case or 2?
One in each case.
One of these for each, the north wall and the west wall. So each one of these is running 4 mister systems. And this is our water reserve. So I did buy a bucket heater to see if maybe I can warm the misting water a bit. I didn't know if they might like that or not. Is that all the technology up there?
That is it.
All right.
Computer fan, but you can't
Oh.
see those in the very back.
So yeah, computer fans are back there. Oh, I can kind of see part of one. All right, so let's come back down here. And what kind of computer fan? Do you use the same brand every time? It's,
You know, just whatever is available on Amazon. Something with metal ball bearings, so it's quiet.
Yes, quiet is a big deal. You might not think these animals respond to sound, but I have many, many, many examples of these animals responding to all different kinds of sound, which is very interesting. But there are studies out now that they know that snakes can hear. So that made more sense to me because I have noticed responses to different sounds. The next thing is this little blue device right here. This is our sensor push. And that is our, I'm going to say our lifeline to what goes on in these enclosures. And I have on my phone here, let's see if I can show you guys a sensor push. So I already have this one open. I'll just take you back real quick. You can see I have all of the animals on here. And then here on Ningishsida, that's for 1 day, or that's an hour's worth there. And I can do a day and look at the daily averages, and then I can look at for the whole week, the whole month, and even for the year. So you can see that there were times maybe I had a door open for a long time or doing some work down here, but you can see for the month we've had a good consistency. Now, if you want to know how, well, let me just finish the sensor push real quick, is that when we have it set, so if temperature or humidity goes outside of the range that we want it to be in, then it will send an alarm to our phone and tell us that there's a problem. And I've heard multiple different stories of folks with these heat panels and something went wrong with the device controlling the temperature and the heat panel stayed on and they didn't know. I've heard a few different things. So I say that if you're going to use electric, like the Vivarium Electronic, to keep everything at a certain temperature, it's very important to have a device that tells you if something goes wrong with that. So it's a really good device to have.
And how
Now,
does that information get to your phone?
yes, so Larry put this right here. This is the router here, and you set the router up, and then the router, does it have a limit to how many devices you can hook to it? An unlimited amount of devices that it can detect. And that's what sends the data to your phone. And that is Wi-Fi, so you don't have to be in the vicinity like you do with the Fluvels. That's okay. Is it still rolling?
Now we're again.
Okay.
Crazy, it kicked us off.
And the next thing I want to show you guys is ISIS's enclosure, because a lot of people like to do DIY builds. And I see people post all the time, I found this on Swap Shop or something, how can I turn it into an enclosure? Well, if you're going to do wood, you can see the problems that we ran into, but if you're not using that much water, our enclosures with all that wood are perfectly fine for the misting and the humidity. They just didn't work for the rain. So that's what's caused us the most trouble. So if you're doing a DIY and you just shellac your wood, it may be perfectly fine. This is an old case. We got this on Facebook Swap Shop for $400 and then called the company to find out how to disassemble it to get it down here. And they looked it up because it has a serial number, and it was an $11,000 case. So we got this beautiful all glass case. We just took the wood top and fixed it up so that we could put fluvels, heat panels, misting system, our sensor push, our Vivarium electronics probe, our fan, everything is in this enclosure.
There's a new mister.
Where? Oh, this is one of the new misters. So this one you can see has a little arm and it moves all around. So that's what he found on Amazon, and he just loves those. But again, I did notice on Pro Mist website, they've added something like that. So this is a Pro Mist nozzle. Now this enclosure, oh, I need to still talk about the vines real quick. You can look over here and see Larry printed these water bowl holders on our 3D printer, and he made them to fit right inside of there and hook to the nozzles that are already there. It's hard to get all the way in there. All right. So there are all kinds of neat ways. And then he caulked the bottom with some, reptile safe aquarium caulking. And all around the bottom of that, we keep puppy pads, not puppy pads, but adult bed pads. The reason adult bed pads instead of puppy pads is because puppy pads, like if you go like this on the fabric, it will fuzz up. And if you don't, we have a lot of stuff. It's unlikely that one of our animals is going to catch a tooth on that loose fabric because of the way it's set up. But if you have, say, an enclosure like Peyo's in, but oftentimes you'll find keepers have a puppy pad at the bottom. And we did hear a very traumatic story about an animal's tooth. As he was wrapping his prey, his tooth caught it and started swallowing that pad. So we took the advice of our mentor, one of our mentors, to get the adult pads that do not have any fuzz, when you try to ball it up. All right, and then the puppy pads in the regular enclosures are also for collecting humidity. They also keep the humidity up a little more, because stuff that's not anything that absorbs humidity at all, like the wood, for example, I don't know. The puppy pads are helpful. We like them, and they make it easier to keep things clean. And I do have plants down here in these cement mixing tubs.
Let's show the vines in there. Easy access.
Well, the problem with these vines, I guess I can because I have different kinds. I want to show my soaker hose water bowl holders because they're so convenient. But this is one of my first designs. You can see I have here soaker hose. It is very important that if you're going to use soaker hose, that you choose a soaker hose that's FDA approved for vegetable gardens. That way you know that it's completely non-toxic. And it's hard to find a soaker hose that's not approved for vegetable gardens these days, but always check and make sure that it has no lead. There are a couple soaker hoses still out there, but they're for huge industrial use. I found that did still contain some very like 0.006 lead, but no matter what, you don't want any of that. So just make sure your soaker hose is FDA approved for vegetable gardens and you're good to go. And that's always listed on their, I found on either online or on their packaging. And I thread my 1/2-inch soaker hose with a 6-gauge copper wire, and I thread my 1/4-inch soaker hose with a 10-gauge copper wire, and that makes them nice and strong and bendable. I twist them up and I put them in here. You will often, I put them up for the king snakes and for my iguana, you'll see them just rubbing their face on these soaker hose. I've never ever had any mildew on them, and I use Ecos, E-C-O-E-S, no, just
ECOS.
ECOS, Ecos Reptile Safe, Pet Safe Paint, and I paint them. And these soaker hose vines come out and go into the shower, the rain shower. They stand up to all the water, everything. I love these soaker hose vines. It's so easy to create the vine systems that we see these animals on in the wild. In the wild, if we pass by a group of trees, we just look because we're passing, but when we pass by an area with vine systems hanging all through the trees, we really, really scour because that's where you find these emeralds. They love full vine systems. You often find them using multiple layers of the vines, resting different parts of their body on them. And you can see that in my jungle room. You can see lots of pictures and videos at nighttime and even during the day, and especially during pregnancies when these animals are using all their different layers of vines and after they eat. You can even see Isis. Look at Isis right now. She's got all kinds of stuff going on over there, and they do enjoy it. And even Isis, at over 6.5 feet long, being our largest animal, will sleep coiled up on a 1/4-inch vine. These guys like something small to wrap their little tails around. And they really like to, it's almost like a ball python that coils up in a ball all the time. They like to be in that ball, and they like to have their bodies tight. So small vines are very nice for them. This huge structure, it's kind of hard to see. I have a walking stick here on each side. You can see that. And then I've put those together with some, can you get down in here and show the store-bought vine here? I've kind of connected stuff with that, and it's connected to soaker hose vines as well as some other natural vines. And these are some store-bought vines we used to thread through with copper wire, but the material is extremely fragile and rips really easy, as well as it doesn't have the nice texture that I've noticed the animals like. So this is, anytime you see these vines in our enclosures, they are threaded through with a 6-gauge copper wire, and they're just from our beginning start. We just, of course, we're going to keep using them since we already made them. This entire vine structure, I can just lift this up, take all the plants out, of course, and I can just lift it up, and the whole thing comes right out of this enclosure. It's super simple. I clean these enclosures with I spray some peroxide on my paper towel and wipe things down. And if I use any other kind of cleanser, it's just dish soap. I just use dish soap and then, you rinse it really good. I don't use any type of Windex or bleach cloths or anything like that on these guys. Now, if I can find Windex in my house, you can guarantee I'm going to use it for something. And that's going to be to kill ants, because that stuff kills them on contact. So I figure if Windex kills ants on contact, I definitely don't want my animals breathing that. All right, so you can just have a quick look up here. You can see we do use a Lorex camera system. You guys can see cameras all over our house. I mean, all over down here in the jungle room, upstairs on the iguana, on our quarantine animals. Everybody has cameras. And I can just open my phone and look at anybody, anytime. You can see the fan. This is the mist timer. Misting.
Mist and fan.
This runs the misting and the fan. And our vivarium electronics, which keeps our animals at the right temperature. And again, I'll just show you guys that probe. We do like to keep is this the probe right here? Oh no, that's something different. So we do like to keep the probes like right below, sorry, I'm yelling, right below the highest perch. So this is kind of the bottom of the animal's body if he's coiled up on this perch. So that's just where we keep them. I said I was going to show you something a second ago. Oh, my soaker hose vine water bowl holders. I'm super proud of these water bowl holders. Let's go to this one. It's kind of easy to see. You know, we had 3D printed water bowls in all of our PVC enclosures that Larry printed. And those were a hassle. 3D printed stuff doesn't always hold up. Sometimes it would break. It would kind of tear apart depending. We didn't find out about better filament to use on the 3D printer until later. So it was a learning curve. But here with my soaker hose, my handy dandy fabulous invention here is these soaker hose vines, which I did find on a video on YouTube. I did not invent these, but I think I might have invented this part. And that's where I take the soaker hose and I actually create a water bowl holder. And these water bowls come right out of here and hop right back in, or pop right back in really easily. And you can see they're just wrapped around the vine in a loop in a way that they feel stable. And I always put one at the top and one at the bottom so that the animals have fresh water. And you can see right now these water bowls are about 1/3 full. And I'll just spray a little bit of water in there each day until about maybe the 6th day or so. And then I'll actually take it out and change it. Unless I notice somebody needs, sometimes one water bowl will get a little cloudy. I don't know why, and I'll have to change it sooner. So those are my soaker hose. Oh, another cool little thing that I did is I took these S-hooks. These are just some regular S-hooks that you could buy on Amazon. And I just put it through the little plant. So I can just hang these plants anywhere I want to on my soaker hose vines. And I love that. They just look so pretty. And, oh, I know, right over here this is something that folks should be interested in. What's it called?
VOC meter, volatile organic compound.
This volatile organic compound sensor is something that we use to check air quality. And we don't use it as much now as we did when we first started because, you know, it's all the same stuff, but we still do check sometimes because things can build up over time, toxicities. And we want to make sure that everything we have in our enclosures is safe. And when we first started doing this, we did everything. The pieces of copper wire, pieces of soaker hose, plant pots, you name it. Anything that's in there, we tested it. We put stuff in jars and put it in the hot sun like for days. And then we would, you know, like get in a closed plastic bin and put this in there and check, put it in the jar as fast as we could, like trying to catch any little ounce of toxicity. And so this has been a real peace of mind. That's what this is right here. It makes us feel a lot better and it makes me confident to recommend our stuff to other folks because I did this little piece of research. It's a huge deal. Now, let's go ahead and if you think of anything else, love, you say it, okay? Let's show them these vines on the ceiling. So you guys have seen some natural vines like in Isis's enclosure, but now you see this. Our entire ceiling is covered in vines. And anybody who's seen my cover video that's on all of my social medias for Happy Basins, you'll know that these animals do get to come out and roam free in this room when it's prepared properly. That's funny. I was actually looking at the camera above Isis's enclosure like I was talking to it. They get to come out here and I set my hammock up. Oh, I should have put the hammock. Set my hammock up here and I will actually sleep in here while as many of these animals, I think I have 8 ambassadors now. So 8 animals can come out all at once, but I have not had the 8th one out yet. She has not had the opportunity. She's pretty new here and that's Mommy Wada over there who we got in October. These vines are all vines that Larry and I took from down by the river that were smothering trees. A lot of these vines were actually wrapped hard around trees, which makes great swirly vines, but also we relieved the trees of the vines. I brought them home and power washed them, dried them, and shellacked them. when I first started doing these vines, oh golly, I was, I was getting small ones and cooking them, like following all kinds of stuff I saw online. And then got a big trough and I was bleaching them for 3 days, rinsing them for 3 days, and then power washing, or I don't know when I power washed, probably first, and then drying them and then shellacking them. But I use such a copious amount of shellac, I came to the decision that I can just power wash the vines, dry them, and shellac them. And I have never seen any unwanted bugs in this room. And I say unwanted because I do put bugs in the plants down here. I'll do isopods, which I've always known as roly-polies, earwigs, I don't know, any kind of beetles. I just put stuff down here in these plants. And mostly upstairs though, because that's where they do the best in my bioactive enclosures upstairs. Another thing is about bioactive is I'm not good enough with bioactive. I have my upstairs animals bioactive before I even knew what bioactive was. I was just keeping them naturally as I could. And now I see people doing bioactive with these kinds of animals, and sometimes that's great. Because if you're experienced with bioactive, you're experienced with these animals, and you put that together, a beautiful creation. But I'm not doing bioactive down here because everything has to be constantly very humid and hot, and bioactive tends to get mildew. And that's when you might start finding scale rot on your animals and things like that. So I just keep the plants in pots. I keep everything super clean down here, and that way I can feel confident that we're still sterile, but we're also still getting good earth. I use Happy Frog earth in all of my plants, a good natural earth, and I feed my plants with something very natural, which I can't think of the name. It's a big, long name. And they do absolutely fantastic in the enclosures with no mildew problems. I do have gnats. I keep them pretty well under control considering how many plants I have. But it's hard to completely get rid of gnats when you have your soil this moist, but you can keep them pretty controlled. I do once in a while buy some predatory mites to put in all my plants if I do get overrun by gnats. And those predatory mites, 2 good doses of those will usually eat up all of the gnat larvae, and I'm usually good for months after that. I think I've covered everything. The one thing I'll show you is this light right above me here. My plant guru, yeah, my plant guru put this light in here for these particular monstera, are extra nice ones, and they needed extra light to really thrive and grow these huge leaves. And that light gets extremely hot. So it's not a good light to keep in your reptile room if you're gonna let your reptiles get around it. And we figured that out the hard way because Bella was out and started getting close to that. And then I said, Larry, maybe you should touch the light and see. And he touched it, it was pretty hot. So we took Bella down and turned the light off and let her go out again. So luckily we didn't have any incident of that. So make sure that if you're using a light for your plants, that it does not get hot. The fluvels are made for aquariums and they do not overheat. So watch out for that. A lot of people want to know, what kind of plants do I use? When I first started this, I was Googling in the store every single plant I found if it has any toxicity whatsoever. And I was only getting plants that were safe for cats and dogs because there isn't a lot of research on snakes. And the reason for that is, and the reason I do not use any artificial plants in my enclosures, is because when and we see it in the wild, the snakes wrap their prey and they hold it in real tight. And I've found them in the wild with big, huge thorns in them from poisonous plants. So it could be the same thing here. You never know if they're going to wrap something and accidentally swallow an artificial leaf or a toxic leaf. But any of the plants I have in here are mildly toxic to cats and dogs if they eat them if they eat large amounts consecutive days in a row. And then in those cases, the side effect is a stomach ache and possible regurgitation. So I do not want any of that with my animals, but I just believe that if they were to swallow one very semi-toxic leaf, that it would be okay. It's a dangerous gamble, but I do analytics, and I can see that the probability of a bad thing happening is very low. So sometimes we do things that aren't completely perfect, and that's one of my examples. But these plants, I have all different kinds of plants. Just when you're going to the store, Google the toxicity. It's really easy to find. If it's safe for dogs and cats, in my mind, in theory, it's going to be okay for the snakes. And otherwise, you heard my decision that I've made, and you can make your own decisions. But I do have tons and tons of prayer plants and airplane or spider plants, people call them both. Those are completely non-toxic. So the spider plants have such a small amount, but still the iguana is perfectly fine munching on it sometimes. Guys, I hope I
like the hooks.
Oh, yeah, a couple more things.
Shout out.
What'd you say it was?
Shout out. Oh, A.E. Stoney.
A.E. Stoney hooks. Larry positively loves these hooks. They actually have, is this plastic? Fiberglass pieces here. So you're never touching your animal with a freezing cold piece of metal. So that's why we went looking for a product that did not have a metal hook, and we went and found these, and we just love them. So, and they work great. They're good and strong and the perfect length. All right, this is another thing I wanted to just get a nice shot of for folks. I don't know if you'll be able to do it like from that angle. This is off Steve Volk's website, and it gives, and Steve Volk's website is amazonbasins.com, I think. You can look him up, Steve Volk, V-O-L-K. This is on his website, and it gives all of the temperatures, humidities, light, how many hours a day they need light for every month of the year. And it tells you when to introduce your breeding animals. It's an excellent chart. It has a 12-degree drop from daytime temperatures to nighttime temperatures. And we try to follow this. It's quite entailed. Volk's got a very entailed setup and pays very close attention. And we try to follow as best we can. It's a lot of work. It really, really is. People say don't get one of these for your very first reptile. This was our very first reptile. We started with these guys. We started with them because Larry fell in love with how they looked. We wanted to get a pet. We decided on a snake because of the easy care. We can still travel. And then anyway, it's just all evolved into this. And Larry's the one who picked the emerald, the Batisi, the Corellius Batisi, the Amazon basin. And now it has turned into this, our Happy Basins farm. Anything else, love?
I'll do it.
I think I covered it, guys. Thanks for checking out our Happy Basins Jungle Room, learning about our technology, meeting our animals, and I'll see you guys in another video soon. Bye.